if you are still at your job, I want to remind you that's not a failure. That is actually probably your biggest advantage right now. So, as I'm here working on my lunch break, I just want to give you a couple of things to think about why specifically staying at your job could be your advantage right now. So, I'm BT, and on this channel, we talk about building something real on the side, not quitting your job, not gambling your income, just doing the boring work that gives you that leverage and compounds over time so you don't feel so that you can release the golden handcuffs, if that makes any sense, right? And as somebody who is doing that himself, it's always important to have reminders. I could probably say 6 things that I always keep in my head to remind me that having the job while creating jobs outside of work is not a it's not a failure, right? So number one is the fantasy versus the reality. Like most people think the move is just to leap. Leap, quit, go all in, bump it, forget it. I can do this on my own. I've been successful at work. I've always been successful at anything I do. I think I can make this work outside of my 9 to 5 and take care of myself. Hey, for some people, that is the truth. I'm not here to dismiss that path. I'm just here to show you the other path, that the path I'm personally taking, because I've tried that path before. And I think what I didn't realize was I wasn't ready and I didn't set myself up to build something sustainable. Most people, even the people that I was working for, they kept their job while they built their companies on the side, and then when they got it to a certain level, they were able to leave their job. And so it was funny. They would look at me and say, "Oh man, you're just doing this full time? That's okay. All right." And then I would talk to them and, kind of try to get that same affirmation or confirmation from them. Yeah, because like when you left your job, you took that big step and then things worked out. And they said, "Nah, actually, it took me 4, 5, 6, 10 years to really phase out my 9 to 5." So that is a reality that not a lot of people talk about. There aren't as many people just jumping ship to not to go from a 9 to 5 culture to entrepreneurship. Now, if you're somebody working with investments and you're doing fundraising and all that, that may look a little different, but I'm specifically talking about boring success where you're doing side businesses, small businesses, and things like that. And the next thing I always have to remember, number two, is that, my 9 to 5 funds my dream and my side business and my small business, and it funds my freedom, right? The the opportunity to make clear decisions when I'm working in my businesses outside of my 9 to 5 is because financially I have the backing of my day job. You know what I mean? If I was depending on my 9 to 5 to make money, I may take projects that I didn't align with morally. I may take projects that I was not capable of doing just so I could take the check, which means I would be stretching myself and kind of lying. Or I may take jobs that I don't want to do and won't help me get further, but I need to pay the bills. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the idea of taking jobs to build your business, but I'm saying there's certain things absolutely you don't want to do, or you don't want to work with this person, or something that isn't a right fit or doesn't feel right. But when you are leaning and depending on yourself and only yourself for that business, sometimes you get in a tough spot and you have to take those gigs and you do something you shouldn't have done. But that's just number two. So my 9 to 5 funds my freedom. My paycheck is capital for me. It covers my rent, my bills, my groceries. And so my side income doesn't have to go in and go out, right? I can think a little bit better and be more strategic about what I'm doing with my small businesses. And I think that's an enormous advantage because the time where I did leap out, going back to number one, I needed revenue now. I needed business now. I was willing to take any and everything, whether it made sense or not. And desperation makes bad business decisions. So keep that in mind. Let me check this email. See, I'm working while talking to y'all, but I gotta keep working. Let me just make sure this is clear. All right, cool. So number three is The problem isn't really your job. The problem is not your job. It's that your job is the only thing. And I'm laughing because I remember when I didn't have anything else going on outside of work, I had so much passion and disappointment at the same time for somebody else's business. I was thinking about things, I guess the term is entrepreneur, right? I was thinking about things we should do and shouldn't do based on my perception and my position at the company. And there were so many ideas and so many places that we could improve and so many things that would grow the business. And when I talked to my boss, he literally said, "Yo, these are amazing ideas, but we could just charge another 5 cents per customer and create the revenue you're talking about." And 5 cent doesn't sound like a big deal, but it was a pretty big company. So the revenue that they were talking about, I was pitching them something that could probably yield 20 million first year. And as we grew it out, it'd be a substantial market for us that would probably get to like 200 million in 7 years. That was my plan. And I'm like, dang, he just took the wind out of my sails. But again, I was highly disappointed. I was mad for a week, but it was like, yo, it's not my business. They don't have to do what I say. They don't have to have the same vision that I have. And so my issue wasn't that my 9 to 5 wasn't in support of me because they still loved the work I did specifically for the work they hired me for. It was that my 9 to 5 was the only thing. It was the only thing I had. And see, you see, I didn't stop checking emails. I didn't put my hands down because I really feel this point. This is probably the most important point that made me say, all right, I got to look at stuff and think about how I'm spending my time and how I look at these jobs. So yeah, it's not it's not your 9 to 5. It's that it's your only thing. And nobody likes to feel like they live and die, breathe, or pay bills based on one person who may not agree with the same stuff you're doing or may not really care about the time and investments that you're making. So remember that. If you lost it tomorrow, if you lost that gig, what happens? That's the real question, right? So, not how do I escape, but how do I make sure this one thing can't take me down, right? And we rely on that one thing so much based on the work we did based on the work we're planning to do, based on the opportunities we're bringing in, based on the leads and the revenue we're going to generate. But besides it being insurance before income, that's all it is. Your job is insurance for today that you'll have some income to pay your bills this month. And you have to kind of look at it like that. I'm gonna say it one more time because I have to remind myself about this too. Your job is pretty much insurance before your job is pretty much insurance before it's income. And it's just insurance that you'll have income for this month to pay your bills. So you have to build a business to create a real insurance plan. We right now, this is what do they have? The different types of life insurance. That's how I see your 9 to 5 versus creating something on the side. You have to create real insurance outside of what this income is every day that you see. And I could keep going on with this. Your job isn't the problem. The problem is that it's your only thing. But so many things have gotten us here, right? You are loyal because this is kind of the system we grew up in. That reward system of pay, being graded on something, getting that sticker in elementary school and getting certificates throughout elementary, middle, and high school. And all these things have taught us to continue to feed a machine and it spits out pieces of paper that make us feel good or gift cards or anything that makes us feel better about all the effort we put in. And that's a real issue. Even think about credit card points, not to dig on credit card points, but I mean, come on, bro. You got to spend $10,000 and then you get 4% back. And what's that? 4% of 10 is like $400. And you're like, man, but I get 4% back and I get discounts on flights. It's like, yeah, you had to spend 10,000 to get $400. And the 10,000 you probably shouldn't even have spent it anyway. So now you negative the 10,000 and they gave you 400. It's a game. So we just get used to those type of things and it bleeds over into our 9 to 5. And that's why we really like it. And we put in all this effort and we expect them to take care of us, but you can't. So number three, that was number three. The problem isn't your 9 to 5. The problem is it's your only gig. And then, man, let's talk about what building besides the 9 to 5 actually looks like. Let me check this email for me. What I can tell you is that it's not working 18-hour days. All right. So remember that this whole hustle culture is detrimental to your creation of a side hustle and small business. You know what I mean? You have to have a window that you protect to work on your business. It's not, oh man, I was up all day and then I went to work all day, then I came home and I worked on my business all night. You will get sick, you will get tired, you won't perform at work the next day, and then eventually your job will be on the line, or you won't put your best foot forward in the effort you have and time you have available for your small business or side hustle because you're so tired because you're working all these days or you're going. That's not realistic, right? So remember, have a protection window, whether that's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a weekend. Do it consistently. Don't wait till you're inspired or motivated. You don't have to feel good to execute, right? Do it consistently. Work in that protection window. And then timeline, man. Timelines will kick your ass, but also timelines are important because when you're trying to build a business besides your 9 to 5, like you really got to remember that a timeline will set you straight. Because a lot of us, ideally, we say by the end of the year, by the end of this month, in 3 months and 4 months, I'm gonna be here. And the reality is it's 12, 24, 48 months, 72 months. And if you had a true scope of what it took, you would understand how important your consistency is. Because if you know this is a 3-year journey, then missing that 2 hours a day or that weekend protection window sets you back another month or two on your 2, 3, 4, 5 year journey, right? Instead of just thinking like, man, I'm gonna just go crazy and then in 3 months I'm gonna be here. Because what happens is you go crazy for 3 months and you're actually not where you thought you would be or where you told yourself you would be. You get deflated, you lose motivation, and then you stop for 7 months. And you look up, and when you look at the 7 months you just went through, you remember how much TV you watched. You remember how much scrolling you did. You remember all the times where you thought about doing some business and you didn't do it. You just shrugged it off because you weren't where you were wanted to be by the goal you set in your head. And it was some arbitrary goal in the first place, but nobody likes to hear that it's going to take a long time. So we ignored that and put a short-term goal in our head that we think will keep us motivated. But no, the timeline is super important. You're not going to replace your income in 90 days. You know what I'm saying? But in year, 2 years, 4 years, you can really build something that gives you options. And you have to remember that. This is about optionality. This isn't about replacement. We're building a business on the side. We're not quitting our job. We're building a business on the side. And so the options give you the space and the posture to negotiate, to leave jobs on your terms, to go to a different job if you want to, that may be less stress or maybe less money, but you have more free time. There's so many different things once you build optionality. And also, it just makes you feel less anxious. Oh, they laid off somebody or they're doing layoffs here and there. You actually don't care because now you're like, cool, I'll be here till y'all want me to go. And then when y'all want me to go, I'll go find something else because I got enough income on the side that will keep me going and that will take care of me while all this mess is going on, while y'all figure all this out. But I don't have to be stressed or anxious about just be blessed to have a job while we're laying people off. Or I don't have to be stressed to do extra work to hopefully prove my worth just to keep this job, even though I know y'all are laying people off. That's how crazy we get. So yeah, I lied. That was five then. That was five, right? So what did I say? I said, what did I say? Fantasy versus reality, right? Don't jump ship. Don't make a big leap because that don't always work out. A lot of people, it does not work out for. So just have a true reality of what you're trying to do and if you can actually leave your job, or if you're that type of person that can handle that. Remember too that the 9 to 5 is funding your business and funding your freedom to think, create, or make decisions clearly. Also, number three, the problem is not your 9 to 5, it's that your 9 to 5 is the only thing. A lot of us have been so programmed to be loyal to these companies or become entrepreneurs that we get nervous when layoffs happen, reorgs happen, we don't get the promotion we want, or we put in effort that isn't rewarded, received, or acknowledged. So take that stress away from yourself by giving yourself another project to work on outside of your 9 to 5. That way you have leverage in the long run. Four, keep in mind what building a business beside working a 9 to 5 actually looks like. And that means creating a protection window and being consistent. You do not have to feel good to execute. So when you're building a 9 to 5, when you're working a 9 to 5 and building a job beside it, consistency is key. So build that protection window and make it happen. And then last, be clear on your timeline. Don't create a timeline that feels good. Speaking of feeling good to execute, create a timeline that creates a true picture and feels accurate so that you know how much work you really have to put in. I'll say it like this because a lot of times I'm in the gym, I might see somebody lifting weights, right? And they kind of swole. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a bulk. I'm gonna do a bulk. I'll randomly say that like I know what I'm doing for real. Cause I just go to the gym and kind of just tinker around, right? But I'll say, you know what, man, having a little muscle would look good. You know what? I'm gonna gain 10 pounds. These next 2 months, I'm gonna focus on bulking. And in 2 months, I'm like, man, I only really gained 5 pounds or 3 pounds or no pounds. And it's like, dude, what did you expect this journey to look like just because you decided this is how it should look? You know what I'm saying? That's terrible. Or I'll say, you know what? That dude's kind of lame, man. I ain't no tall person. I'm not no athlete. I don't have to be swole. So I'll change my mind and say, you know what? I'm gonna lean out. I'm gonna lose 7 pounds. Cause then I think I'll be at a body fat where I'll be popping. And then I'll look up 2 weeks later and I'll lost a pound and I'll get demotivated. So all that to say, build an accurate timeline. All right. So let me close out because I've been talking forever. Don't quit your job. Not yet, at least, right? Don't quit your job, not yet. Build beside it, stack something real. And when you decide to leave, if you decide to leave, remember, it'll be a choice and not a crisis. And that's the whole point of my boring success is we want people to have choices and not be left in a crisis. I've been somebody who's been laid off. I've been somebody who tried to jump ship and go all in on entrepreneurship. And so for me, I'm speaking specifically to people, especially as you get to millennial, older millennial. Now you're working for young people or older people who don't even want to be here. It's crazy, right? So I want people to have options, and that's it. I keep looking out the window because the weather's good. I'm in Los Angeles. Actually, I'm not in Los Angeles. I'm in the Inland Empire. So let me be clear. I'm rambling because I'm kind of putting this together during my work day. But yeah, I really want people to have a choice and not a crisis. That is what my boring success is. I'm gonna get off of this because their coffee's hitting good. That's why I'm feeling good and talking to y'all. But I had to get back to work. So don't quit your job, build the business beside it. Peace.